Did you realize that the reason why you're having a hard time starting exercising is not necessarily because you don't have the willpower or are lazy? There's a lot more to it, and I found that out this week when I talked to my dietitian for the first time in almost 2 months. So stick around to find out more. So on Thursday, I met with my dietitian after about 8 weeks of not having talked to her. I had things going on, work stuff going on, and we just didn't connect. So finally, after about 8 weeks, we got together on Thursday. And the last time I had talked to her, I was 300 and I'm sorry, see, I'm still doing it. 232 pounds, between 230 and 232. I had been struggling back and forth, up and down, and I'd had a particularly bad week where I had been hovering around 224, 225. And then that week I was like 232. I couldn't understand it. I was so upset. I was doing exactly the same thing. I talked to her. We went through some stuff. Basically, the idea was just to keep on keeping on. There was nothing wrong with the amount of calories I was eating. My macros were fine. I was drinking my water. I was taking my lisinopril. Just something happened and my weight went up. So when I talked to her this week, I got on the scale this morning, I am 220.2, which I'm happy with. This will be the second week. Well, I guess the third week, because I got down to 220 a couple of weeks ago. And so I've been hovering a little bit around 220, which is fine by me. And so I talked to her about I was down to 220 and everything was great. And we went back over, not into too much depth. I feel like after 2 years being on Mounjaro and having gone from not paying any attention whatsoever to the calorie intake or my protein or my anything, I wasn't paying any attention to anything. I went to actually keeping track of calories because I'm a big tracker. Not everybody is. It triggers some people. For me, I need to write it down. I have to keep an eye. That's just me personally. Maybe that'll change when I get down to goal weight. I don't know, but for the time being, I do track. And it does help me get a feel for what I might be doing. And I'm not a perfect tracker either. There are times when I will leave stuff off. So it's not exact, but I just like to be in the habit of doing that. So I was tracking, everything was going well. And so I talked to her. We talked about improvements in the stuff I've been eating, the fact that I've been preparing ingredients, all that. We got through that. Then she looked at me and said, "So how is your exercise going?" And the whole tone of the meeting kind of went, "Well, I'm drinking my water and I'm eating my protein and So for some reason, that particular topic has not been something I've been able to get a handle on. And I just could not figure it out. We talked through it a little bit. And so she's concerned because I have not been exercising. I mean, I've done like little spurts. Like I put my treadmill up to 6% incline and was walking for 5 minutes. And I did that 1 week. I found a really good YouTube video on seated exercises with weights. 1 week. I did some Richard Simmons, I was putting that on a daily basis. 1 week. So, I mean, I keep attempting. I bought a treadmill, I bought a rebounder, I bought weights, I bought the little hula hoop thing, still haven't done it. And I just said to her, I don't know what the blocker is. And she said something that kind of made me went, well, I guess that makes sense. Just for some background, I have been over 300 pounds for probably, this is somewhat of a guesstimate, 2 decades, 20 years. I have been at least 300 pounds or at least close to it. I think a couple times in the last 20 years, I've gotten down to 285 or 290, and I've gotten under 300, but generally around 300 pounds for 20 years. And what she said to me was, your mind associates exercise with pain, with not being able to breathe, with severe pain in your lower back, and so every time it's trying to protect you. It's trying to protect you from hurting yourself because you always associated walking. I mean, there was one time when I went, I'm involved in the search engine optimization industry, and they have big conferences and conventions that I used to go to. I haven't gone to any since before the pandemic, but that I would go to. So I went to one in Seattle, and I'll toss a picture up here of what I looked like around that time. And my son and his wife were were in Seattle for some other event. And they wanted to go nearby the conference hall to walk around and maybe go out and have some lunch together. And we went walking, and I had to sit every 5 minutes, because what would happen when I was at 300 pounds is that I would have, after 5 minutes, I would have severe, intense pain in the spine and the bottom part of my spine, to the point I was in tears. And so my memory of that, spending time with my adult son and his wife, was my saying, I have to sit. I have to sit. I have to sit now. And, I had 6 kids. I know what it's like to be in pain. My threshold is actually relatively high. My pain threshold's pretty high. But when I was over 300 pounds, and I'm only 5'2", so that's a lot of weight on a 5'2" woman. And so, yeah, that's my memories of going to see them, is needing to sit. And for 20 years at least, we've had to arrange any events or things that we did together with no walking, with not much walking, or making sure there's places for mom to sit, which was always the way. And I have a mailbox around the corner, and when I was 300 pounds, it was a complete ordeal. It's not a long walk. It's not very far, but I would just absolutely dread walking from here to the mailbox to pick up my mail and back. I was out of breath. I was in pain. I hated it. Now I can go back and forth with no problem. So her point is that my mind, my brain, associates moving, walking, that sort of thing, with the pain that I had when I was 320 pounds, 300 to 320 pounds. So I think that I had heard about this in the periphery. I had heard about this being a possibility, that our brain, that's my coffee/water thing decided to have a say. So I have heard about that sort of thing over the years. And, it's not an excuse, but it does kind of explain, with everything else that I've done in order to lose the 100 pounds that I've lost, changing my water, changing what I eat, paying attention to my macros, reducing the amount of calories, taking better care of myself in general, all that stuff. And yet I couldn't get past going out and walking, or picking up weights. I could do it for short periods of time. And so I thought that was a really interesting, she called it, Yes, because she's really worried about the muscle loss from all the weight I've lost because I haven't been exercising. And so what I did after I talked to her was I went into my good old friend ChatGPT and I asked it, okay, I said, is there truth to the idea that the reason I have issues getting started with exercise is because I was over 300 pounds and my mind still thinks it's painful at 220 pounds? Okay, so before I tell you what the answer is or what it said, if you're new here, my name is Donna. I raised 6 kids ages 28 to 40. I work full-time for a tech company. I started on my health journey in November of 2023. I started on 5 milligrams Manjaro in February of 2024. I was 311 when I started Manjaro. I was 320 at my highest. And I am 220 now. And I also went from an A1C of 10 when I went to the doctor in November to I am now an A1C of 5.4. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT whether that was a thing, you know? And it said, yes, there's a lot of truth. Doesn't mean it's the absolute, it's not the same for everybody, but a lot of truth to that idea. What you're describing is a psychological and physiological memory loop that's actually quite common for people who've lost a significant amount of weight. Here's why it happens. Your brain remembers past discomfort. That was what I was just talking about. When you were over 300 pounds, movement may have caused joint pain, breathlessness, or fatigue. All of the above. Those sensations get encoded in memory. Even after losing weight, your brain may still anticipate that same pain or effort, a form of anticipatory avoidance. So even if your current body is more capable, which it is, your brain's prediction system still flags exercise as something to avoid. I thought that was really interesting. Number 2, your nervous system learned to conserve energy. Carrying extra weight for a long time, we're talking 20 years, my friends. It trains your body and brain to be cautious with energy use. Your nervous system learned moving a lot hurts and drains me. This can become a habitual protective response where your brain unconsciously resists activity to keep you safe, even though your body can now handle more. And 3, emotional associations linger. Exercise might still be tied to old feelings, embarrassment, frustration, or failure. Those emotional cues can trigger hesitation or self-sabotage even when your physical capacity has changed. This is called emotional conditioning, and it can override logic, which is why I don't understand why I know that I'm capable, but there isn't like anything yelling in my brain when I just don't get up. I don't start. And yeah, there's all these things going on in my head. And it can override logic until you rewire it with new positive experiences. And 4, what it says is the solution is you can retrain the association. Good news, you can reteach your brain that movement feels good now. A few practical ways. Start small but consistently, short daily walks, gentle stretching, or light resistance bands. Focus on sensations, how it feels now, lighter, more flexible, not how it used to feel. Pair movement with reward, uplifting music, podcasts, or environments you enjoy. And celebrate micro wins. Every time you start, you're rewriting your brain's prediction. And I thought that was, it says, your mind is catching up to your new body. It's not laziness or lack of willpower. It's a lag in the brain's internal model of what exercise means. Once you consistently give it new evidence that moving feels good, not painful, that resistance begins to fade. So I thought that was really interesting because Cheryl's son did a video this week somewhat related, talking about the way we see ourselves in the mirror versus, in photos, or when we try, like this week when I did my reset, I put on a t-shirt that I've had for 10 years. I got it in 2015 and I slipped it on and it fit, and it wasn't clinging to my belly. It's like something that my 320 pound self couldn't have worn at all. And so there's all those, we have these non-scale victories we talk about. I got my real ID picture and I was like, holy cow, that is a totally different person. That is a totally different person from the person who took the ID picture, 10 years ago. So I see some of those things, but not in the mirror. When I'm doing my hauls for you, when I'm putting on my clothes, when I'm trying the Temu stuff that I'm trying on, I see 320 pound Donna in that mirror. When I'm editing, I see 320 pound Donna. So those are things that our brain is trying to catch up with us in terms of how we look or how we appear to other people. And I'm going to put Cheryl's video down in the description, where she talks more about how looking in the mirror, that we should take pictures and do side by sides, and how we don't see the changes that are happening. I mean, I'm 100 pounds down. I'm 100 pounds lighter. And it takes a lot for me to not balk when I come up to a chair that doesn't look like it's going to be able to hold me. I have some of those plastic patio chairs, you can get like in front of Safeway or Fry's or whatever, and they're stacked up. And when I was 320 pounds, I broke one of those. I had it in my backyard. I sat in it and it broke and I fell. And this was years and years ago. It was in this house, but it was years ago. So a few weeks ago, I wanted to sit up because the weather has been getting nice. It's not 115 degrees. It's like 70 to 80 degrees. So I grabbed one of those chairs and sat in it without thinking twice. Although I was like, okay, well, last time I sat in one of these, I totally annihilated the chair. But there was no creak. There was no, it's going to break. But I still have those moments when I worry about what I'm going to sit in. And I think that it takes time. And I think with the exercise, it's the same thing. And I just thought that was really, really interesting. Yeah, we talked about the brain remembers old pain, body learns to conserve energy, there's an emotional connection, and then we need to rewire our brain. The other thing she brought up, which I thought was kind of interesting, and I kind of brought it up because I was like, I realized that I separate all my exercise related stuff. I think I mentioned this in the last one. My treadmill's out here. My weights are under the TV. My rebounders in the garage. Also, my resistance bands are out here as well. And those of you who follow my reset know that I'm moving from the home office I'm in right now, that I've been in for 6 years, which is very cavey. The window in that room faces the side of my neighbor's house. So there's not really sun coming in, and I keep it closed just for privacy, because I don't want to be looking in their house because their window is exactly across. So I've kept it kind of cavey and the room that I'm working on right now, that was my mom's room, has a nice big window in it. So I'm looking forward to moving in there. But the other thing that I'm going to do is get a standing desk. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be standing all the time, but I can if I want to. And I should say I'm getting an adjustable desk, so that if I do decide that I want to stand, I can just, make the desk go up and stand there for a little bit and then pull it down and sit down. I'll still be sitting primarily. But I had mentioned to her that maybe what I need to do is put weights near my desk, which I don't have. That way, when I'm in a Zoom call, I can do some weight exercises while I'm standing there waiting for people to come in or while people are talking, depending on if I have to be on camera or not. There's some I'm on camera, some I'm not on camera. So, we had all these conversations, but I walked away from that with two things. One, my hesitance to exercise may have both an emotional and mental block. And it's something that's not going to get fixed overnight. I'm not going to suddenly start walking on my treadmill, a half hour a day. It's just not going to happen. But what could happen, and one of the things that she brought up, is that I could just go walk in my backyard for 5 minutes after I eat. That I have a blocker there for some reason because I'll have a meal or whatever, or I'll think, yeah, I should probably go walk or something, and then it'll pass. Then it'll pass. And then all of a sudden it's 4 hours later and I've had a busy work day and I'm tired. And so I'm just going to watch TV. So I thought that those were really interesting blockages, especially since I've been morbidly obese for 20 years and I just lost 100 pounds. And my brain and my nervous system thinks that if I go do exercise, it's going to hurt as much as it used to be when I would walk the mall or I would walk to the mailbox or go somewhere with my kids. So that was, and it's funny because I didn't think there really was anything else that my dietitian and I could discuss because I've already done really well with the carbs and the protein and the fiber. I'm still working on the vegetables. I'm doing better with the vegetables, but I'm not where I want to be. But I have been doing much, much better on the nutrition side and paying more attention to what I'm putting in my body. But I am still struggling with the physicality, with the movement, with the being mobile. And it's not like when I'm about to do something like that or I'm considering exercising, I have a glaring conscious thought that it's going to hurt. But there's definitely something subconscious going on that's stopping me from actually doing the workouts or doing the exercise or picking up the weight. I was morbidly obese for 20 years. I lost 100 pounds in 2 years. And I did it with barely exercising, but that doesn't mean that's the right way to do it. Please don't do it that way. But please be aware that there's nothing wrong with you because you don't get excited about exercise. It's just, especially if you've been at a higher weight for a long period of time and you associate movement with pain, getting past that is not going to be an overnight thing. And that's all I really wanted to get across today. Like I said, I got on the scale this morning, 220.2, put on 2 ounces, whatever, and the other thing I talked to her about, just as a closing, is I never used to care about my weight. That's why I say I was 320 at my highest, because there was some point where, just like when I told you I was 62 inches around, at some point I picked up a measuring thing and I went, this is funny. Oh my God, I'm 62 inches around, and the same thing with getting on the scale. Before I started my health journey, I didn't pay attention to nutrition facts. I had other things going on that at the time was more important. And like I said, it wasn't until I got closer to 60 and my dad had passed away at 60 and we have a history of heart conditions. We have a history of type 2 diabetes that I went, I've got to do something. And that's basically what the doctor said. You have to do something. You can't continue this way. So I was able to adopt and change the way that I ate and care about what I ate. And that was not something I did before. So yeah, I think that was that was it. And so exercise wise, she's just saying, you start walking for 5 minutes. And so there's something that's stopping me from taking that, because I go out in the backyard, my dog goes out in the backyard, and I will sit in my chair, and I know logically in my head that I should probably take a few laps around the backyard. I have a good sized backyard. I should take a few laps around the backyard. Even if that's just, 1,000 steps, it's 1,000 steps. And for some reason, going from sitting to walking, there's something stopping me. And so that's one of the things I'm going to work on. I've been telling you guys for a year that I am going to exercise every week. And I could not understand why I could not. I know what I need to be doing. I understand it. It's logical. I have the tools. But after 2 decades of being morbidly obese, something is stopping me. I mean, I'm taking Mounjaro for diabetes. That's why I was put on. But when I took 5 milligrams for the very first time, all those voices in my head went away. The ability to eat too much went away. And now I'm at the point where, she's concerned about the fact that I don't exercise, and I am too. So it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to happen overnight. I am going to have to work past those demons in my head that are telling me that, oh no, you can't. If you walk, you're going to be in so much pain, you'll be in tears. Oh no, you can't. If you walk, you'll be out of breath. Oh no, if you walk, whatever else, because I never really had massive knee issues or feet issues because I never walked long enough for my knees or my feet to hurt because of the back pain. So yeah, that was a huge thing. And so I'm going to say this, and I've mentioned it before. If you have insurance and can afford it, I would highly recommend getting a dietitian. Not just for your macros and, working with you on calorie deficits and everything else. They also have knowledge and experience to be able to kind of talk you through these things that you're beating yourself up over. And like I said, I went and checked. And don't get me wrong, ChatGPT isn't always right, But at the same time, I went and did some looking and some research and everything else. And it is, in fact, an issue for those who have been morbidly obese for decades. I got past my eating too much, I got past my food noise. I got past my lack of hunger suppression. So I got through a lot of those things, and I've changed so much. I talk about that when I'm doing my hauls and things like that, what I used to eat versus what I eat now. The way that I behave versus, the way that I treat things and myself versus the way I treat myself now. Some people might call it hooey, they might call it the hogwash, but it feels like there's a potential that is in fact part of why I cannot get past exercising. I can't get started. And knowing that does help. So this week, I'm going to try. It might only be once, might only be twice. But when I take Fuzzbud out to run around in the backyard, I'm going to start walking. Usually in December, my kids and I will do like a step challenge in our family. And I don't have a lot of steps. They usually give me like 2,000, 2,500 because I don't do very many. I do more now since I'm 100 pounds lighter. I move around the house a lot better than I used to. But yeah, so might do a step challenge with my kids. Or maybe I'll do it with you guys too in December. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be out of town. So I will probably just do a video ahead of time and post it on Saturday. I'll be gone from the 12th, November the 12th to November the 17th for my youngest child's wedding. And I think that's it. She talked about the big thing was the exercise thing. She also talked about the mirror thing, about the fact that we still see ourselves at the weight that we were when we started because we've been so used to, walking around in that body, so that's what we see. I have blood work when I get back from, when I get back from my youngest child's wedding in November. I'm going to go get blood work, and then I will meet with her again. So we will see how I do over the next. Now, I will be doing a lot of walking when I'm with my kids. I do tend to walk more when I'm with my kids. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Have you been struggling? I mean, I know there's some that are just doing really great. They worked on it and they got themselves to that point, and I keep trying and haven't done it yet. But with the discussion that I had with my dietitian this week, I was like, that completely makes sense. My body thinks I'm going to hurt myself and it's trying to protect itself. My brain, I should say. My nervous system thinks it's going to hurt itself. So I'm going to work on that. And because I tend to be, like I've mentioned many, many times, an all or nothing type. I either do it all, I do absolutely perfectly, or not at all. And for exercise, I'm in the not at all. I finally got past my all or nothing on food, on the eating, on the macros, on the calories, and I'm doing so much better than I used to do. I don't beat myself up as much if I do have issues over the long haul. So, yeah. So that's my update for this week. I will probably do a video or two through the week. I'm going to do another reset because I'm getting closer to getting that room done. It's not done, but I'm going to do some more reset. I have an Ipsy haul coming in that room. I have to figure out the lighting in there, but I will get that worked out as well. And I think that's all I have really planned for this week. I have to go into the office on Thursday. And it's Halloween on Friday. Is it Halloween on Friday? Or is it on Saturday? I don't remember now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, my friends. I love you very much. Please make sure to hit like on the way out. And I will talk to you. I'll probably talk to you sometime this week. Don't know what yet, but I'll probably do a couple of videos and pop them up this week. And I will talk to you next weekend. Definitely, for sure. Have a great one. Bye.